Hey Internet, my name is Abby and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program on Wings. We are back in an orbit around the Moon, or to be more specific, we are back with our asteroid GWD 694, and we are still having our probe core attached to it with a Klempotron docking port Junior. And wait, what? This thing is floating. This thing is no longer attached to the asteroid. Well, I think, let me just enable the interface. We can release it, so I think it's still attached to the asteroid, but for some reason it's now floating. This is interesting. Maybe this happened during the update to the newest version of Kerbal Space Program or so. I'm not quite sure, but nevertheless, this is now our connection point where we want to attach our space station to. And yeah, so we need something like a hub or so we can attach to the docking port Junior, and then we will start building our space station somewhere at this position so that it's attached to the asteroid. And I think this is really a great project. And let us think a little bit more about, or let us assess a little bit more our current situation. We are in a circular orbit around the Moon, and this is also an equatorial orbit. This is quite helpful for the rendezvous from Kerbal out to their asteroid. And yeah, I have now to deliver some space station parts, and the first idea was that I will just launch them and send them out to the Moon, but then I thought this would be a little bit too boring, so I came up with the idea that I could, let me switch to the science station, that I could launch my payload to the science station, attached to the science station installed up here, and use some kind of space tug in order to deliver the parts to the Moon. And I think, yeah, this is really a good idea, and this is the way we will go. And yeah, at first, as a proof of concept, I will just launch my space tug, and I will launch the very first payload, and then we will bring it up here to the science station and assemble our delivery. Then we will fly out to the Moon and return back home with our space tug. And then, to keep things more realistic, I will exchange the crew of the space tug every time it returns back to the science station. So at first I will use our Kerbonaut, who will launch right away at with the space tug. Then, as soon as it returns from the Moon to the science station, Sidhead or Jetmine will jump into the space tug, and when this returns, the other Kerbonaut will jump into the space tug, and maybe at some point we have even to bring up some more Kerbonauts with the spaceplane up to the science station to have more crews available for our delivery process. And yeah, I think this is a great project, and I think this will make everything a little bit more realistic, and I'm really looking forward to this. And additionally, we have to refuel our space tug, and we have our fuel depot up in space attached to the science station, and so at some point we even have to deliver some additional fuel so that we can refuel the science station. And here a lot of logistics are involved in the whole project, and I think this is really the thing that makes our building process so special, and I'm really looking forward to do this. And yeah, so let me now go back to the Space Center, because I like to talk about different things. Wait, what? Oh, Sidram Kerman. Let me fly him. Sidram Kerman is still walking or standing around on the apron after he returned with his space plane from the science station. And yeah, now he is still walking around and waiting next to the space plane. And yeah, this was really a great mission. It was a total success, and the thing has a really great shape. I like my space plane. This was really great, and maybe we will use it to deliver some more crews for our building project. So yeah, this is definitely cool. And now let me, well, I don't want to call Sidram a vessel, but let me recover the vessel. And what have we got? Sidram Kerman, available for new missions. Their reputation, okay. And then we can also recover our space plane. There are signs, recovery of a vessel returned from Kerbal orbit. parts. Why only 98%? We are exactly on top of the Kerbal Space Center. This should be 100%. But okay, we got about 30,000 funds back. This is cool. Okay, well done. And then I talked about some other limitations. For my building project, let me just use some guidance unit and some structural things so that we have some spay or something we can attach parts to. And yeah, at first, to have it a little bit more realistic, I have the requirement that all my spacecraft I will launch have to have an antenna. So yeah, one of these three types of antennas should be attached to the spacecraft I will launch in order to have roleplay-wise some communication requirements. And well, this is not really a challenge, it's only a challenge for me to remember that I have to attach an antenna all the time. And then the next limitation is that I like to use my fairings, and I do have the smaller fairing, or I can use the bigger fairing. This is this one, so there is a little bit more space, or I can use the longer fairing where I can attach really huge payloads. And I will do this because I don't want to create some payload that are quite unwieldy and look unrealistic. No, I want to have the requirement that I have to think about the packaging of my payloads, so that I have to come up with creative ideas in order to deliver my payloads or my science or my space station up into space and up to the moon. And the biggest payload fairing is huge enough to, as you can see, to store inside the science thing. It's called Mobile Processing Lab, to contain the Mobile Processing Lab so that we can also launch this part. And yeah, this is my next requirement, that all my payloads have to fit into these fairings. And I think this is also a very great and very nice idea. And yeah, then I have also, let me just demonstrate this for the huge fairings, that they match to the other components. I have an attachment. Let me just attach this attachment over here. Then I can add my payload on top of this. I can add the fairing on top of this. Okay, this fairing is a little bit too large. Then I can use this fairing. It's a little bit too small, so I have to make the things fitting. And with this, I can encapsulate my payload inside a fairing. And then I just need to add some boosters, and then I would be able to launch the whole spacecraft into space. And I think this is a great idea, and this is the way how we will now assemble our space station in orbit around the moon attached to our asteroid. And there was a last thing I want to do before we perform the very first launch, and this is, let me zoom out. We have this asteroid project that I like to monitor, or that I like to visit all the different types of asteroids. And we have the size class D, a large asteroid. And I like to track the object, and we have an encounter in 11 days and 5 hours. So we have 11 days and 5 hours time to think about if we want to capture this class D asteroid, or if we want to just attach a probe core to it and let the thing orbit around the sun and follow its trajectory. I'm not quite sure what I want to do. As I said, I have 11 days time to decide what I want to do, and it has a current periapsis of 26,000 kilometers, so this is pretty far out. And this is also a challenge once again to rendezvous with the thing. And here we will see, Class D objects are quite large. Expect them to be no smaller than 12 meters in radius and up to 18 meters. These are very heavy objects to move around. Yeah, we will see if we want to move the thing around, or if we just want to visit it and then leave it, let it leave the sphere of influence of Kerbal. This is a question we will answer in 11 days. And yeah, I think we have now prepared all the signs I wanted to prepare. And now it's time to launch the space tug. I called it the Asteroid, the transmission, the transportation mission. And no, not these orange guys. I will use Dodo Kerman. Dodo Kerman is our cosmonaut who will be responsible for the first delivery of some components for our space station. And let me launch him. And come on, here we are. Here we are. As you can see, I have used a smaller payload fairing. I have the launch escape system because it's a crewed mission. And then I have attached a central core to it, and I have attached two solid fuel boosters. And now let me reduce a little bit the throttle. Okay, this is now the delivery of our first mission, or the first launch, the first mission for our assembly process. And the science station is over there, so we have to wait a little bit. Let me extend the nav pole. Let me set the science station as a target. And now we can do a quick time warp to wait for the science station to approach to us so that we can launch and hopefully rendezvous right away with it. And it's coming closer. And now it's in a good position. This is a great position to launch our spacecraft. And yeah, okay, why is the throttle up again? Let me reduce the throttle a bit. Let me enable SAS. And yes, we are set up. And in 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Here we go. Here we go. The solid rocket boosters are now performing the main work. They are used to bring us through the first phase of the ascent, and then the main engine will take over and bring us up to space. And Dodo Kerman is currently a little bit indifferent about his situation, but I think he will get used to spaceflight pretty soon after his vacation he had as he returned back from the Jewel expedition. And yeah, so. And also he has only a very short mission because he just has to fly now to the science station, grab the first payload and deliver it to the moon, and then we can have some relaxing days on board of the science station while other cosmonauts are taking over control of the space tug and are delivering the next payloads to the space station. And here, this is pretty cool. And I like all the logistics that will evolve around our building process. And yeah, this is pretty cool. Okay, now it's time to separate from the boosters and to throttle up because we have to meet the 200 meter per second mark when we hit the 10 kilometer mark. And well, this is looking good. This is really looking good. And now we can perform our gravity turn. And we are also high enough that we can jettison our launch escape system. Let me do this. Goodbye. There it goes, there it goes. It's no longer needed, and yeah, we are still encapsulated in our fairing, and we will have the fairing jettison pretty soon. But at first we need to get to higher altitudes, we need to get out of the thicker parts of the atmosphere. Dodo Kerman is currently a little bit scared. Why are you scared? You are used to spaceflight, you are a well-experienced space flyer. You should be used to this. Okay. And yeah, now we are flying up into space once again, and I'm pretty much looking forward to the whole building process because I like it a lot to have this flying back and forth between the moon and Kerbal, and to be a little bit limited to the size of the payload fairings, so that I am not able to launch half of the or the space station right away, so that I have really to think about packaging my payloads and delivering. And yeah, I think this is really a great idea. And okay, we are now on a good trajectory. Let me just switch over to the orbital map. Our apoapsis is increasing. I'm not quite sure if the central core has enough fuel to raise the apoapsis up to the orbit of their science station. No. We are now out of fuel. We are now out of fuel. Let me cut the throttle. And we can now separate from the central core. And now I can reveal my space tug. Let me just get rid of the fairing. And this is my space tug. It has 2 parachutes for the re-entry once the space station is finished. It has solar panels, it has the antenna, it has some RPS thrusters, and it has a service module with a lot of fuel in order to deliver our spaceplane parts. And now let me ignite the other engine and let me throttle up a bit, because we need to raise our apoapsis so that we are getting closer to our science station. We are just a little bit ahead, and we continue our burn, then we can get to 1.7 kilometers. Wow, this is a great launch. This is definitely a great launch, and this will come up in about 4 minutes. So yeah, maybe 30 seconds before I have to perform a burn to match the speed of my science station. And yeah, I think we can now perform a quick time warp to get closer to this point. And don't overshoot, don't overshoot. Okay, here we are, here we are. Now I need to perform my burn in order to insert my spacecraft into an orbit and also to match the speed of the approaching science station. And wow, this was a great launch. So close, and we are only about 8 minutes into the mission, and we are about to rendezvous with the science station. Wow, this is really efficient. Okay, the shift in the camera angle means nothing else than that we are now in an orbit. We know. Okay, what have we done? 500 meters in about 3 minutes. This is great. Okay, we are now in orbit. Now we can extend our solar panels and extend the antenna to establish a communication. And here, 8.5 minutes into the mission, and we are already on a great trajectory to rendezvous with the science station. This is great. Okay, we can now perform a quick time warp to get a little bit closer. There is the science station. Now we have to trim a little bit our trajectory so that we get closer to the science station. Okay, like this. And now we are down to 0.0. This is great. This is a great approach. This is definitely a great approach. Dodo is happy about this. Dodo is definitely happy about this. That he has this short flight out to the science station and that he is already about to rendezvous with it. And yeah, this is definitely cool. This is really amazing. And well, I've calculated also the delta V of the space tug, and without a payload, it had a delta V of it was a little bit more than 3,000 meters per second. I think it was 3,200 meters per second or 3,600 meters per second of delta V. So this thing is quite powerful, and yeah, I think we can deliver all our payloads up to the moon with this thing. And yeah, this is definitely great. Okay, we are now approaching the science station, only 60 meters away. 50 meters. Okay, now it's time to come to a stop to kill all of our relative velocity. And okay, where is the junior docking port? Is over there. So I will dock to this docking port. Let me now switch over to docking mode once again. Now it's a usual process of docking something to a docking port. And okay, I think this could bring us quite close, or should align us with the docking port. Okay, looks great. This definitely looks great. I think we can speed up just a little bit. And wow, this is cool. 12.5 minutes into the mission, and we are already about to perform our docking procedure. And wow, this was definitely an efficient launch. Okay, and let me now come to a stop once again. Okay. Now I need to turn my spacecraft around. Let me fly a little bit closer. Okay. This is great. Now we can kill all of our relative velocity, aim for the marker, and the last few meters. Getting closer, getting closer. Dodo is doing an amazing job. And switch off all the controls, and we are docked. We are docked to the science station. Well done. 13 minutes or so. I haven't looked at the mission timer, but this is great. This is great. Jack and Sita are happy because they are now aware that the building process has started, and soon they will be in charge of delivering some parts to the moon, and they will exchange the seed with Dodo Kerman. And yeah, I think they are quite happy. And now I can perform a quick save, and I will now return back to the space center. I will wait for the space station to orbit around Kerbal so that we have the next launch opportunity, and then we will launch our very first payload. Okay, here we are again. We are ready to launch. We are having the payload on the launch pad. Let me enable SAS. We are aligned with the science station. The science station is approaching us. And now we can perform the next launch in 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Here we go. And you can see I'm now using the bigger payload fairing. It's not the largest one, but it's already quite large. And it has encapsulated the first part of our space station attached to an asteroid. And yeah, this is a launch of it. This is a launch. It's basically the same booster, but with a different fairing, as I already said. And yeah, now we are performing exactly the same flight, or the exact same mission. We will now fly out to the science station and have hopefully a good rendezvous with it. Yeah, now we are waiting at first for the time that the solid rocket boosters are out, and we can switch over to our main engine in order to continue our flight up into space. And yeah, I think the shape of the rocket is also pretty amazing with the huge payload fairing. This looks also quite cool. And okay, we are getting closer to the moment that the solid rocket boosters are running out of fuel. And okay, let me... Oh, careful, careful! The thing bounced against our booster. And now I have throttled up a bit to gain some more speed, because we have to match or reach our 200 meters per second mark at the 10 kilometer mark. And from now on it's the usual trajectory, the usual launch profile. And in this case I think it's a good opportunity to do some time-lapse. Okay, here we are about to insert our first payload into an orbit, and you can see this is our hub. Over here is our, what's called, a Clampotron docking port junior. This is a site that will attach to the asteroid. And okay, let me just see, I was about to insert myself into an orbit, and 9.6, 9.5, 9.4. Can we get this? 8.7, 8.4. It's decreasing. Can we have already a rendezvous? 4.7, 4.6. What do we have over here? 18. Okay, now it's increasing again. But this is great, this is great. We can have almost a rendezvous over there. Unfortunately, it's on the dark side of Kerbal, or on the nighttime side of Kerbal. But nevertheless, this is quite good. And yeah, so over here will be the asteroid, and then we have 5 opportunities to attach more things to our space station. And I think this is really a good start, and this will be the first payload we will deliver to the moon and to our asteroid as a proof of concept. And when this is working, we will think about more huge payloads I will deliver to construct all the different parts of the science station. And I have to keep in mind, or I have to calculate all the time, that I'm not launching too heavy payloads in order to fly out to the moon, because otherwise my space tug can run out of fuel. But we will see what will come up next. Now let me extend the antennas to establish a communication with our Kerbal Space Center. And okay, the launch was a success. Our next maneuver is coming up in 8 minutes. Where is the maneuver? Oh no, it's not a maneuver, it's the closest point. This is good. Okay, now we can do a quick time warp to get closer. 4 minutes, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and cut the time warp. The science station is only 5.7 kilometers away. Maybe we can trim a little bit our trajectory or our approach so that we are getting closer to the science station. Let me bring the retrograde vector directly on the retrograde marker of the target. Okay, only 8.4 meters per second. This is a little bit too slow. Let me at first get rid of this. This maneuver node. Okay, and yeah, this is much better. Now I can turn the spacecraft around once again in order to start decreasing the relative velocity once we're getting closer. And now it's time for some time warp once again to get closer to the science station. And 2 kilometers, 1.7. Now I can trim a little bit more of the trajectory. Let me bring the retrograde vector back on top of the retrograde marker of our target marker. Okay, and 400 meters, and there we are, almost in the sunlight back again. This is good. So we can perform the next time warp. $700 meters away, very good. Can I trim just a little bit the orbit or the trajectory? A 2.2 meter or a 2 meter approach velocity. This is good because we have a lot of time until we have sunrise and we are back in the daylight, so that we actually can see what we are doing. 500 meters. And the sunrise should be pretty soon. 400 meters. And sunrise. Wow, this is a beautiful sunrise. We are only 400 meters away. It's good, let me know. Kill all of our relative velocity. Now we need to turn around and we need to approach our science station in order to perform our docking. Okay, this was a little bit too fast, but now we are approaching on a more faster rate. This is much better. And then I hope that the junior docking port is currently facing to us, so that we are not required to fly past the science station in order to align with the docking port. But it's currently hard to see because the sun is pretty bright, and me now come to a stop. Well, I can't really see something because no. I'm now performing the burn in the wrong direction. What am I doing here? Okay, let me know. Like this. And I think I can now switch over to docking mode, enable my RCS. And can I say Clampotron docking port? Oh, it's not the junior docking port. This is sad. This is definitely sad. So we need to fly past the science station. Oh, I need to switch over the controls like this. Okay. Now we need to fly past it in order to align with the junior docking port, because this thing has only a junior docking port. We can do a quick time warp to do it faster. Okay, now it's time to rotate the spacecraft around and to kill all the relative velocity once again. Very good. Now let's turn the whole thing around. Like this. And can I already, yeah, set the docking port as a target? Very good. Now we need to align ourselves. Can do another time warp. And wow, this is good. And now we just need to turn our spacecraft around and align with the junior docking port. Okay, let's approach the science station. Switch off all the interfaces and contact. And docking confirmed. Well done, well done. The first part is delivered. Now I like to switch back to staging. I like to use this fuel out of the upper stage of our payload delivery to refuel our space tug. Well done, well done. Now the thing is refueled. Then we can use also this fuel to refuel our fuel tank of the our fuel depot, and we can also use this fuel to refuel the escape pod. Oh, I hope I'm. Oh, wait. Let's stop. I need some fuel left in order to deorbit the spacecraft. Okay, this was close. And here, this is good. Now, in the next episode, we have to assemble, or we have to move our space tug over to the payload, and then we can deliver it to the moon. But as I said, this is something for the next episode. All of my 3 Kerbonauts are looking forward to this. I hope you are also looking forward to this. In this case, until next time, my name is Abby. See you!